just in a big, culture where we normalize bicycling, not just as an act of, being green or whatever, but actually as like helping make a more vibrant and efficient city.
Welcome to Tell Me About Your Bike, the podcast about life, the universe, and cycling. I'm your host, Wesley Cheney. In this episode, I sit down with singer, songwriter, and cellist Ben Sollee for the second half of our interview. I ask Ben about his bicycle component preferences, how he would invest $1 billion in bicycle infrastructure, and what his musical influences were in developing his unique finger-picking cello style. So listen now to Tell Me About Your Bike.
So clipless pedals or flat pedals?
I eventually ended up clipping in on the bicycle tours.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just made the whole ride a lot easier. Before that, I was in cages, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would clip in on the bike tours. Right now, just bombing around town, I just use flat pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to shifting, friction or index?
Again, like for when I'm just riding for recreation,
Mm-hmm.
I find that, index shifters they're just so fun and easy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was on the bicycle tours, man, having the friction was that was awesome because you could always just adjust it a little bit and get things back in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can kind of, if you were doing a lot of climbing, you could kind of work the gear into it a little bit more. That being said, the big dummy system that I was on was indexed, and you just had to learn its little quirks, but for the most part, it ran fine.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. You're bicycling down a 25 mile per hour, 2-lane rural road with no shoulders. There's a double yellow line. Car driver behind you refuses to pass, and a line of cars is backing up behind them. What do you do?
I'm riding alone in this scenario.
Let's say you were riding alone. Yeah.
Okay. And it's just a single car that's not going to pass me.
He's been sitting on your butt for like a minute now, and
Gotcha.
when you can hear him behind you, and when you look back, you see that there's about 5 cars backed up behind him.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, there's no shoulder. If a road comes up that I can pull off on, I'll just do that. I'll just pull off on the road.
Yeah.
Let them go by just just to lower my cortisol as
Right.
much as theirs. But if there's no road to pull off on, I just hold my right third of the road and let them make the decision that they're going to make.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I tell my son who's 17 is I'm like, be predictable.
Yeah.
Like don't come in and out of the farthest, like don't ride the line and then come back into the road and then ride the line. Like just hold what you got. That way they know what they're working with.
Yeah.
They drivers. Because if you're always changing, you're being an unreliable dance partner in the dance of the road. So hold what you got, enjoy the wind. If you can pull off, that's what I'd do.
Yeah. All right. So final bicycle question for you. If you had $1 billion, how would you invest in cycling infrastructure?
Nationally, state level, national.
I'd say local. Like talk. But if you want to talk about national and state, that works too. But.
Right. Well, one of the first things I would do here in Louisville, Kentucky, is I would take some of the elevated freight train passages that we have in our city.
Yeah.
Transferring those into multi-use walkways that would be accessible to
like
bikes.
the highway
elevate above the city, above the walkways. Yeah.
Like the one in Manhattan.
Well, yeah. So the High Line is a good example. They don't allow bicycles on the High Line, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's for pedestrians. So this would be for both pedestrians. Um, and I would, as part of that, I would connect it with the current big project that's happening in Louisville, Kentucky, which is they're pretty far along on building a 100-mile loop around the whole city with
Ooh.
a dedicated bike road. That's a big ongoing project, and but it's pretty cool because half of that is directly along the river path.
Mm.
Because the way Louisville is shaped, we're kind of in a bend of the Ohio River, where,
Right.
where there's a big drop in the water table. So you get half of the loop that's right along the river. It's pretty amazing. So I would, in addition to finishing that loop out, I would create some spokes that connect to a hub in the central part of that. I mean, nationally, I think that the biggest thing to do is to obviously invest in infrastructure. So, like making sure that there's really good signage and indication on those spaces where we can get dedicated bicycle infrastructure. But the biggest thing is cultural investment.
Yeah.
Invest in a big, culture where we normalize bicycling, not just as an act of being green or whatever, but actually as like helping make a more vibrant and efficient city.
Yeah.
So in urban environments, we know that getting people on bicycles and on foot has a huge impact on local commerce. And in a city, like a lot of cities, over the last 6 years and post-pandemic life, our downtown is empty. We have a lot of very empty buildings and companies that are continuing to move out because they're discovering that folks like to work remote and they can save some money on rent. And shoot, if they're going to be coming into a building, they want to come into a more modern building with a more open concept and all sorts of things. But of course, that's like all the fish moving out of the coral reef. It's like
Right.
it's not vibrant enough, and there's not a balance in the ecosystem. So creating that could be a judo flip to create a more like bicycle pedestrian centric low traffic downtown that really increases commerce in a really big way.
Yeah.
So what does that look like, investing in culture? So I think a lot of it is media and storytelling. So making sure that your local radio stations are documenting, the stories and culture of bicycling, and having lots of billboard signage, normalizing families riding by bicycle, being able to get around, and focusing on the sort of public health benefits of it rather than the environmental benefits of it. The environmental benefits come as a bonus add-on to the public health benefits. And then I think that having lots and lots of bicycle events,
Yeah.
One of the things that I have implemented at my shows is a bike walk ride program. So if somebody rides their bike or walks or carpools to a show, we offer them a $5 voucher at the merch table, right? So they can use that to get a sticker, which would be free, or they can use it towards a bigger piece of merch. But either way, there's anything to incentivize them. And I think you could partner with any number of companies to do bicycle valets, to do, special like privileged bicycle parking at places, right? So you can have your bike close by. I think, special discounts for people that are riding and these sorts of things that are subsidized by city governments, but also are something that the businesses are seeing as just a wonderful add-on, and then having parks be programming bike-ins. These are events that I've done a lot of in my community where we would, have a whole family event, as we called it, where we would program a family-friendly movie, and in front of that, we would put two local bands, usually from different parts of town, different parts of cultures, to help cross-pollinate, and then we would invite local food truck vendors, nonprofits that help with activities, beer and stuff like that. So again, it's just like cultural programming in these places. I mean, the bicycle infrastructure in Fort Collins is a piece of the bicycle culture there. But a
Right.
much bigger piece was all the companies that just loved bicycles and did everything they could to make sure people enjoyed riding their bicycles. Right? Made sure that there was plenty of bicycle parking and that it was well lit, and that when they were advertising things, they had bicycles in their advertisements. I would do this sort of work because that will make the city way safer than any new bike lane.
Okay. So I want to switch the conversation a little bit over to cello and music, and I wanted to ask you to tell us about your first cello.
Well, I picked up the cello when I was 9 years old in public schools. So my first cello was the school cello.
Okay.
It was an old plywood, beat up K cello, and it was unruly to play, and I'm sure didn't sound all that great. But it was the one that the school had, and it was sort of a deep, dark chocolate color with sort of a sunburst type effect in it. Kids had scraped their names into this thing. It was pretty beat up, but I did love it, and would walk back and forth from school each day to wear it, to take it home. And at the time, I was competing in gymnastics. I was a gymnast. I ended up breaking my wrist on doing some high bar routines, and they set my arm in such a way that I was able to still play cello, and I feel like that's the moment the cello was really seated for me in a big way.
Ah. So those months of wearing the cast paid off, and you came out of that a cello superstar.
Right? Yes, super, super, super cello star. And then after that, so that was the first cello. The first cello that I owned was this. I think it was a German-made cello called the Deutsch. It was sort of a deep, dark, deep dark reddish brown. I mean, I would kind of like a heavily weeded whiskey. And it had a really kind of big bombastic sound to it. And that was the first cello that I really started writing my own songs on, and, goofing around playing at rock band gigs and stuff like that.
So tell me a little bit about your finger picking style. I'm a ukulele player myself, and so I was watching close up at the Clay Center where we could just walk up on the stage and be 10 feet from you, and so I was checking out your finger technique, and I couldn't tell if you were coming from it from a background in double bass or guitar, or where did that come from for you?
Well, my dad was an R&B guitar player.
Okay.
So a lot of the, finger plucking technique stuff just came from hanging around him.
Right.
And then I also spent a lot of time playing music with banjo players. So I
Okay.
was in a band for a while with this banjo player and singer Abigail Washburn, as
Oh,
well.
that was what's the name of the band?
Sparrow Quartet.
Yes, I
So that's the
downloaded
one.
the albums in my Apple Music library.
There was Abigail, Bela Fleck, Casey Dreesen, a fiddler, and myself, and we toured
Right.
all over the world together. So sitting next to Bela Fleck and Abigail, I picked up a lot of banjo techniques. So that's some of the sort of claw and hammer stuff that you're seeing there.
Okay.
And then I also play bass. So working with bass players,
Yeah.
a lot of that's kind of like that drop thumb technique that
Yep.
comes from
Yep.
bass. So I don't know. It's a classic like Kentucky cousin type technique. It's all related. Just, what fits the song
Right.
and switching back and forth.
Yeah, I was really enjoying it. I also really enjoyed when you broke into Bach's first cello suite prelude during the concert at Clay during one of the last songs. And so we were my partner and I were the ones who were clapping when you did that.
Yeah.
That was I loved that moment. My partner and I were clapping when you did that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice because, in my show, I don't do a lot of classical cello.
Right.
Not really what I hear in my mind. And I also just, even though I have a degree in cello performance, which is a classical degree, it's not really what I kind of studied in the world.
Right.
And, to go through a whole show where people are hearing sort of R&B folk, jazzy cello, and then to kind of come to the end from this violent, almost like heavy metal type moment, to just pop into a Bach suite is a nice kind of pivot and somewhat poetic.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. All right, Ben. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for being on Tell Me About Your Bike.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it, and I appreciate you asking me to.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Tell Me About Your Bike. If you want to share a story about your bike and the adventures that you've taken on it, contact me by email. My email address is friendwes@mac.com. That's friendwes@mac.com. friendwes@mac.com. Please like and subscribe to Tell Me About Your Bike. If there's someone in your life who loves bikes and loves podcasts, please send them a link to the show and share it on social media. In the next episode of Tell Me About Your Bike, I'll be starting a mini-series on nonprofit bicycle cooperatives. I've been visiting bike co-ops in Virginia and West Virginia and asking questions. My partner and I are exploring the possibility of opening a bike co-op here in Charleston, West Virginia. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next exciting episode. Keep the rubber side down and keep rolling. Cheers, y'all. Copyright Rambling Ukulele Productions 2025. All rights reserved.